Today, on the American Land Seller, we're going to find out what it's really like to run marketing for one of the biggest land brokerages in the country. Matt Christian is the Chief Marketing Officer at National Land Realty, a 400-plus agent powerhouse with reach in 46 states. But he's not just building a national brand, he's also training local agents to win in their own backyards. In this episode, we talk about what it's like to lead marketing in a juggernaut like National Land, how to balance global strategy with grassroots agent success, why land-based podcasts are attracting the most interesting characters, and how Mac's recent jump into getting his Idaho real estate license gives him a little more respect for the agents he works with every single day. We swap podcast stories, marketing lessons, and a few hot takes on what actually works and what doesn't when you're trying to stand out in today's land world. Whether you're a solo broker or part of a large team, this one's packed with insight you're guaranteed to take something away from.
Welcome to the American Land Seller Podcast with your host, Kobe Rickertson. Kobe is an accredited land consultant and multi-state land broker with High Point Land Company. Join us each week as we explore all things land. We bring you fresh insights and expert guests on sales, marketing, regulations, economics, and so much more. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms.
Okay, Kobe and our special guests, let's get started.
All right, we are back with Mac Christian from National Land Realty. Mac, how are you today?
I am doing very well. Thank you.
Mac, this is kind of exciting for me. I am a huge fan of yours, my friend. I listen to your podcast all the time. And so it's kind of an honor to have you on here to talk about like what it's like to be the marketing, like the director of marketing for a real estate juggernaut like National Land Realty. So what is it like to be the director of marketing for a big time name like National Land Realty?
It's very cool. It's an industry I didn't expect to find myself in earlier in my career. I did work enterprise level tech and I've done agency work, and it's just that I've always tried to get myself into the outdoors world. It's just it's my life, and roundabout found a way through here and got on board with National Land. It's got a really, really terrific culture is the big thing that I'm a culture zealot. And so getting on board with National Land and then the scale of things that we get to operate with, we've got a ton of agents, ton of offices. There's a lot to juggle. It's never a dull day. And I get a lot of credit that I am not due. Cause I work as chief marketing officer, and I've got I get my name out there because I do our podcast and stuff, but it's that everyone who does the actual things is under me, and I get the sort of credit for what they do, and I don't like that, but it's a really cool thing. It's a really cool team. Everything from our operations team to our technology team all collaborates. Our CEO Ronnie Richardson is always in and out of talking with us, and it's kind of a family. It's fun.
Yeah, you guys, your marketing team is pretty impressive. You guys are always like, what's the next thing? You can just tell in what you're putting out there as a product. How many people do you have working for you?
We have, you're going to make me count. I hate math. No, it's part of what I do. No, we have, total is 6 now. I call it the skeleton crew. Anything that you operate with in real estate, you're always going to be, it's juggling dollars. And so we operate a skeleton crew. We have very siloed roles. Everyone owns their division of the house. Whatever duties you have, you're in charge of those. I'm very much not a micromanager. I've worked under the whole opportunity of leading a team is the ability to do the things that I've always hated and take them away and do the things I've always wanted to do and give it to my team. And so I give them ownership. My goal when I've hired all of them and trained all of them. And now that my director is an absolute marketing monster, she does a lot of the training now instead of me, which is really cool. I like that, but it leaves me looking for things to do. So yeah, no, it's there's a copywriter, designer, digital marketer, CRM specialist, director, and social media specialist that we work with, and it's just it's they're each one of them executes their tasks very, very, very well. Our copywriter too is he keeps us in task. You talked about the new media stuff where we're kind of staying on top of the news cycle. We have regular meetings weekly, monthly, that where we bounce ideas, and then we do morning scrums to establish, like, what's the headline? We better be talking about this. And so we always kind of have that stuff going on.
Yeah, that is like, I think that's what you guys do like exceptionally well, is that you are talking about what is relevant, which is fascinating because I think a lot of us in this industry, we get so caught up in like what, like, I don't know, the mundane day to day stuff that we forget about the fact that we are impacting the industry, or we need to be the voice in the industry. And so like I know that's a collective thing from your group, but I think that kind of is one of those things. Is that one of the reasons why they brought you on? Is kind of like somebody has to have that pulse, right? Like somebody has to keep their pulse on what's going on in the world, and what do we need to be paying attention to?
Yeah, well, and so the model of how National Land was built was to be able to let agents in the field do what they do, which is buying and selling, working with buyers and sellers of land, right? Like that's what they do.
Right.
And regardless of specialty, we want to get them in the field as much as possible to do their job. And so they built the premise of the company off of taking as much as we can off of their plate that takes away from the buying and selling of land, right? So can we do lead gen? Can we do collateral production? Because about half of what my team does is supporting agents. Like, so I need a listing presentation. I need something like that. So we run a lot of stuff like that. So we try to support as much as we can and also generate new business for them. And the one thing that we always hear from our agents, and it's this tug of war, right? Like when I came on board, it was kind of a dogfight, and we've been able to communicate with each other enough to where we've got a good understanding. But it's always this tug of war of, I don't have time to do things like run my social media, or I don't have time to run my email. Like anybody in the field, right? Like any agent in the field, that's it. Right? Like I don't have time to hop on Facebook and tell them what I did today. Like that's the thing.
Or you're at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night and be like, dang, I forgot to do it all.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And I forgot all about it. Yeah, I get you.
Like
Yeah.
I joke about it, but it's like, because I'm kind of in it, is like it's the field of ADD, right? Like it's like we all get sucked into our thing that we're interested in. We run around, and we're like, agents are talkers, and they're communicators, and they go out and they work with people in the field. Half the time you don't have cell phone reception, so you couldn't post anyways. And so it's this balancing act of like, can I get the material into the agent's hand to where, hey, if you didn't do anything, take any pictures today, can you post what we did as news? Or, and it's sort of like, can we give you the material to build a social media following? Can we help you run your email? And the hard part is we can't do those things for agents, but we can give them the material for them to do it faster. And like,
Right.
if I didn't take a picture today, can I pull something from home office and post that? That's kind of what it's built. We built it on sales enablement, which is a weird marketing jargon that nobody wants to learn anyways. Basically means I'll give you the tools to do your job. I can't do your job for you.
No, that's empowering your agents. I think what's fascinating with what National Land does is you guys have taken principles that a ton of residential companies have been doing for, and I'm not trying to insult you, but like I know how,
I see where you're headed. You're gonna call me
no,
Remax here in a second.
no, but you've taken principles though that like a lot of the, like the big time successful residential companies have done, and you've said, you know what, we can take some of the good business practices that they've done, we can improve on them, and maybe hand this kind of similar stuff to our guys. and again, like I've talked to, to your leadership, through passing through the, industry things. And I know their goal was, at least at one point, and I think it continues to be, we're going to be the top tech people. We're going to be the top, you know, um, I think technology land company at one point was their goal, right?
Yeah. There's a heavy focus on our technology team. We've got Tyler Van Meteren is our CTO over there. He's a monster. His team is monstrous. They're terrific. They do all kinds of weird. The
We
hard part with marketing, the hard part with technology is none of this stuff is sexy, right? And none of it gets in front of agents. So half the time, agents in the field are like, "What the heck do you guys do?" And it's like, "Well, I worked all day on things you'll never see," and it's really that. Like it's numerical. We're working on databases behind the scenes to like, okay, how do we manage properties better with our property management system, and we build a lot of things behind the scenes. We have our Land Tour 360 technology was one of the first things they did. That's a super cool thing that we've done and continue to do. We and then there's other things like integrations with CRM systems and how can we automate things. And so our tech team does a ton of our heavy lifting. Again, it's where it's like I sort of get to dance and sing songs in front of people, and our technology is doing this heavy lifting behind the scenes. And sometimes I'll get credit for some of that stuff. It's like, nah, it's not me.
No, like going back to the marketing aspect of that
Yeah,
though, I mean, it helps your guys. It makes it a lot easier for them to have that online presence, that social media presence, by creating that by your team and by the tech team, by creating that easy way for them to, plug and play type of thing. I would
yeah,
guess, like the social media, put the images where they need to be, and the branding is all wraps right around that, and then you just throw it right out there on your social media, and then that is the sexy part of it, right?
yeah.
Whereas,
And that's the part that's so visible, right? It's what's funny is for every image that goes in there, there's a huge process that goes behind it with like 15 steps, and it's like a project management system, and like building out that system is the really exciting part of marketing. Like, but it's stuff that like if you're not in marketing, this is the most uncool thing you've ever heard in your life. Snooze button immediately. But when you put it all together and like the person comes in, they put in a request, they get something cool at the end, and like and they thank you for it. You're like, there we go, that's the one. Um, yeah, it's a large technology process driven process that we do. And the again, not me, my team executes perfectly nearly every time. There's rarely, and there's, I always encourage my team to make mistakes and that's sort of our way is like, I want you to go around and break things. And then we find what we broke and then you fix it. And because of that, they kind of don't break things, which is kind of freaks me out a little bit, but
just building it so good.
I don't know. I wouldn't credit myself that far. They're executing very well. So it's just a cool thing. I like the company. I like the culture. It's yeah.
Yeah. And again, like we have similar, like we have our marketing team and stuff like that make
Yeah.
us look good. And like that's just I mean that is an important part of our companies, is just the, you guys that are building that stuff and making our lives as agents and as brokers way easier. But if you don't mind, Mac, we're going to take a quick break and
Yes.
we will be right back. The American Land Seller Podcast is brought to you in part by LandHub.com. Join us today and experience the expertise of LandHub's land marketing professionals. Whether you're buying or selling, let us show you the way in the ever-evolving world of land transactions. Visit LandHub.com and discover what the future of land marketing looks like. LandHub.com, where your land journey begins. All right, we're back here with Mac Christian from National Land Realty. Mac, we were just talking during the break. I think that it's interesting. You were telling me something that, like I think about subconsciously, but I never really said it out loud. But, like there's two things that you're having to focus on. Like you have that global brand right? Or that national brand that you're pushing out there that that's where you have like the color has to be like exactly the same hue and the not quite John Deere green and yellow, but like whatever. And then, but
Oh,
then,
you called it. You called it. You called us out. That was like when I came on board. There was like a bunch of people that were like, it looks like John Deere. Like, is that not cool to you? Like, it's there. We have shifted the scheme a little bit to highlight white a little more, and but yeah, we got the green and yellow.
I had to do that. I mean, I I we have like a really fun pastel colors, so, like the neon blues and
Yeah, yeah,
we're we have our own color fun, but no, but what I was trying to say is going back into it though, like how, teaching your agents that how do we get that local connection? Because that's the reality is you and I both know people deal with people, right? The
hmm
brand is a tool. I
yeah,
mean, that's honestly, I had my own company. I sold it. This is my, second company that I've been with since I sold my company. And so I look at it simply as the brand is a tool, right? Um, and
yeah.
so, and so I'm that connection for my company and my region. Talk about how you're encouraging your guys and what National Land is doing like locally in some places to kind of promote that brand and marketing.
Yeah, and that is the ever-present dynamic of real estate marketing, or in the land industry. I've been a part of two companies. I've had the privilege of working with Land Leader, and now I'm with National Land Realty, and the same dynamics exist there. And I've talked to other marketers, and it exists I think in every company, and it's this dynamic of agents are in the field and they want to know that their company is known of, and the company is trying to get out there and do the thing, but also marketing costs money. So then it's this dynamic of like, okay, yes, I could be on every billboard and TV set in your state. What are you willing to drop into marketing fee wise? And they're like, well, I don't want to give you any extra money. I just want to be on all the TVs. And I was like,
Right.
sorry, that costs. So that it's this balancing act of and if I'm an agent in the field, I'm asking the same questions. It's just that I'm on the other side of it now, and I've got to answer those questions. And so the big one is, agents are constantly talking to us about, like, I talked to this person today and they'd never heard of National Land Realty. It's like, okay, well, like let's dive into that conversation a little bit. And the harsh truth is what you just said, is that people do business with people. Like, and the example that's really easy to use is everyone follows Elon Musk, especially in the last 48 hours. Everyone follows Elon Musk because he's lighting the place on fire. But
Having a week, isn't he?
having a week, he's having the hot tea is getting spilled. But let's take that dynamic. Everybody is following that, and like, let's take social media for an example. But not a single one of us has ever probably followed Tesla, and that's the prime example of and then let's take it on the other part. Elon Musk gets political, and that falls out of favor with certain parts of the population, and it collapses the brand. Now, what had more power, the brand itself or the person? 100% the person. That guy just did something weird and people didn't like it, and his brand collapsed. And so the brand power. Now, let's not take away from branding, right? Like, branding matters. People knowing of an organization really matters, and everybody wants to get to that place. But when it comes down to it, it's like, when somebody says, I haven't heard of your company, a lot of the times that means, who are you? Like, they're trying to be polite and not say, who the heck are you, Bob? Like, I've never heard of you, man. Like, am I going to do business with you? And so it's like, I've never heard of your company. And it's an unfamiliarity thing. There is that, and especially in our industry, right? We're talking rural communities. Like, I come from small town Idaho, and it's like, I moved away for a few years and went back home, and I got the line of like, you weren't from here anymore. It's like, oh my gosh, I grew up here. Are you serious? You've got to have that local. It doesn't matter your brand. Like, you've got to know the people. You've got to be in front of them. There's that personal side. And so from our point from marketing capacity, it's like, we hustle and flow to get everything we can in front of people, but there is a cost limitation. And it's like, if agents are willing to put in, above and beyond, we can manage it, but nobody wants to because that's the money you feed your family with. And there's this constant balancing act that is going on between and it's even more so because agents have no idea what we do. Like, we are the weird monkeys behind the screen that, like, okay, like, why haven't you made me popular in my area, dude? You're sitting on your laptop all day. Why haven't you done this? And it's completely understandable, right? But at the same time, there is this thing going on behind the scenes, and it is marketing on a national level. And it's like, I can't be everywhere at once. I have no idea what's going on in Missouri, so it's like, it is a constant push pull. And it's the best part is having a team that cares, because then you want to do those things. But yeah, it's hard.
Well, and to your point, like, if you're in Idaho trying to help an agent in Missouri, you can actually hurt them if you start, like, I've seen that before where,
Yeah.
like, with Remax, I thought it was funny because, like, I had one of the guys that competed against me, like, Remax would have a palm tree and something when we
I
were.
was going to say, like, is this the Rocky Mountains? I live in Missouri. Like, what do you?
And so it was always like this little twerp 20-year-old agent with another company that was always like, I don't remember palm trees being in Nebraska, Kobe, on my social media. And I'm like, I will squash you, son.
And it's even worse in rural communities, because it's like, people are very, in rural America, people are very protective, because they should be, right? Because people come in from out of town, and what they're used to is someone taking advantage of them, of some big talking person coming in and selling them on something they don't need, and they go in for it, and one of their relatives got ripped off or something, and they're leery. And like, that's common. They should be. And so being able to market on a familiar level, I had contracted an agency at one point with another company that they used a bunch of pictures of deer, and they're like, oh, we got deer on there. Like, no, that's Ireland, dude. That's a red deer. Like, what is that? Like, that, let's just pretend this didn't happen. Don't ever do that again. Like,
or the track, that is not a tractor we have in this country, like, like, we're not, that's not the kind of tractor we have in the United States. You're gonna have to.
Purple one is from Japan.
That's let's not do that. Most farmers are gonna figure that out real quick, that they've never seen that at a state fair.
No, it's not it. So yeah, to your point, and I've had, like, I considered myself pretty savvy. I get like a hillbilly discount because I grew up in a small town, and like, my team didn't. Most of my team, because they're marketers, right? They're not outdoors types. I've integrated them into the outdoor lifestyle, but a lot of them look to me to answer things. But we have Jeremy Stevens over there in Arkansas. He's blown me up a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
He's just like, this is not a row crop we have, Mac. I'm like, help me out.
Yeah, and you get down into, like, Texas. I have row crop here, but you get down into, like, Texas and in the South and stuff, and they have cotton. We have never seen that here. And
Exactly.
It's got to be tough to have that job to market across this big a area as you guys are. Because are you all 50 states now, or?
We're 43 states, 103 offices at this point, 430 some agents.
Yeah, big dogs.
It's there's a lot to keep track of. You know what it really is we have a really organized filing system, to where it's like, okay, these are Missouri photos, these are Arkansas photos, this is Texas photos. There's trying to keep track of, this is high fence versus no high fence.
That I imagine that it is a lot to keep track of. That's totally true.
I have to fall back on. I have a monster designer that manages it, and again, my director QAs everything, and they do a phenomenal job. We have the processes, like, regardless of the person, if you have a good process, that's not going to break. And so you make sure that you follow the process every time. Like, okay, did I get this approved? We go through an approval system, make sure we got it right before we execute. Stuff slips every single time. It's when we get crowded and we work too fast, failure happens. And so It's like, whenever anything goes wrong, it's like, okay, were you moving too fast? Okay, let's go back to that. Let's go back to the process.
No, that is a true statement, though. It's always when you're moving too fast that failure happens.
It is. And for us especially, like, every time we try to tackle too much or juggle too many things, and you convince yourself that I got this. I can handle that too. And before you know it, it's like you forgot to tie your shoes and projects collapse and somebody's mad.
Yeah. So, if you were to give a young agent starting out with National Land Realty, um, a, say you're having a mentoring session with them on marketing, what's your first advice to them? How do you get them out there? What's your best advice to give them to get going?
So my number one, and because I do sit down with agents quite a bit. Like we have marketing tools, and everybody in our industry has a marketing tool, and everybody has sort of like I call them their shiny thing, right? Like, oh, we have this, and our competitors don't have this, and that's what everybody gets sold on. It's a TV show, it's a magazine, it's a social media presence, it's a banner on the highway, whatever it is. Everybody has their shiny thing, and if that shiny thing matters to an agent, the agent signs up with that company.
Sure.
And like half of our industry is recruiting. You want good agents for your company. That's how your company grows. And new agents when they come on board, especially I'll take for example, someone who's never done real estate. That's a pretty good one. The big one is like how many people do you know in your community? Like, sorry, this is going to fall down to like your friends, family, and loved ones. Granny might not buy from you, but she probably knows somebody who has land that you can talk to. Or you grew up in that area and people remember you from high school football, or people remember you from debate team, or you were you cheerleaded for years and now you're selling land. Whatever it is, do you have a name? Can you build a name? And the big one is just shake some dang hands. It's stuff that I can't help with. Like you either have that hustle or you don't. You can meet people or not. And co-marketing is huge, right? Like market to residential realtors and see if you can pull them on board for co-marketing contracts if you're trying to get rolling and meeting landowners. I I keep on talking about it because it's how I ended up getting half of the areas that I hunted when I was in college. Was like we would take pie to landowners, like, "Hey, I brought you a pie. Is it okay if I hunt quail?" Like,
Awesome.
and like I've always talked to them like, man, take somebody a pie. No one ever turns down pie. Like, and just tell them you want to get to know them, and don't try to sell because people hate to get sold to. They want to know they can trust you, and like get out there, shake hands, and be trusted, and talk to people, and then follow up, and don't hassle them, and don't sell to them. They know what you do. You don't have to beat them over the head with what you do. You just need to be known. And land is something where there's always this confused, like we always go to a circle too of like, where did the lead come from and how do they work with you? And it's like, okay, like that matters a little bit, but we're not selling. I don't sell tennis shoes. I didn't see a discount on Google, or I didn't see a discount on REI's website and go buy it that day. It's not a product like that. Like the idea is you have to be known and come to mind when they decide to move that piece of land, which means you need to be trusted and in touch with them. And it's not like you sell land every other day. So this is like you need to be the one that they think of. Get out and just start meeting people because no one's going to trust you out of the gate. Like you've got to be trusted and build that.
Yeah, it's like the 7 and 6 rule. Like you have to
Yes.
seven times, and then they kind of have an idea who you are, and then every 6 months your face better come across them, otherwise they'll forget who you are, type of deal. Like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an old rule or a current rule or not, but it's kind of true, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not the boiler room anymore, right? Like you're not going to make a phone call and no one's going to give you their life savings. It is like land is the most valuable thing they've ever known. This is the most valuable thing anybody has in their life. They're not just going to give it to you. Like you have to like be trusted and be in touch and stay organized, right? Like whether it's a CRM system or a spreadsheet or you got a notebook with everybody's name, you got to work your way through that like once a month. Like, cool. I'll reach out, I'll touch base, religious about it. Like I don't want to take away from my team and myself, but that stuff matters more than anything we could ever do.
Yeah. Well, and I think what I love what you just said about like go snuggle up to the residential agents and partner with them.
Yeah.
Like that's so smart because you actually have a product that they don't have. You've got the horsepower to market and sell land in a way that they have nothing. They can't do it. As well as you have contacts and that are going to buy and sell houses that they may not have too. And so I love that you're, like, because a lot of people in our industry, I think, get a little bit arrogant in the sense of they think that residential market is pretty easy. And I don't think that at all. I
Oh,
think,
residential market is the nastiest.
yeah,
I would not touch that market if you paid me a double my salary just because of it. Every one of them is in a dogfight every day. And it's a little similar to land, but there's not many land agents. You take a residential marketer in a city or a residential real estate agent in a city, and it's like, I can't even imagine. I mean, because there's a lot.
yeah, there are a lot of them, and yeah, and again, there's a lot of things that go into marketing homes, and a lot of
Yeah,
knowledge you have to have. It's not, but again, it's different knowledge that we have that, that we can be an asset to them as long as we're going and telling them what kind of an asset we can be, and then
exactly.
taking
Because
on
they'll
those
get
referrals for them.
Yeah, because they get land pickups, and like you've got residential agents, they can look at a marble countertop and they can tell you what country it came from. But then you start talking to them and they don't even know what a parcel is, right? So like it's like,
Water
or an
rights.
easement or mineral, like there are different specialties in those areas that you can help them out with, and get to know your community. Like I always joke around, like in a city, right? It's your barber shop and your style salon, right? Like that's where the gossip happens. I grew, and I only say this because I grew up working in one. It's my family business. Like the gossip mill is the feed mill, right? Like that's you get to know the feed mill, like that's where all the gossip happens.
Yeah.
Like that's
Coffee shops, feed mill, scale
yes,
houses. Yeah. All those places where everybody hangs out and talks about whoever didn't show up today.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No. Hey, brother, I'm having a great time here, but if we can take a quick break, you got time for just one more segment after?
absolutely, yes,
All right, man. I appreciate you doing this. We will be right back.
If you want to be a professional land broker, there's no other organization for you but RLI. I mean, it gives you the education, the experience, the knowledge, and the networking that help your business succeed. It sets you apart from anybody else.
Who really knows what the future's going to bring, but I can guarantee this. The land real estate industry is not going anywhere, and being associated with our organization brings a lot of value to each individual broker.
All right, we're back here with Mac Christian from National Land Realty. Mac, you know what? You're the first National Land Realty person I've had on my podcast. I think your guys are snobby, maybe, or something. I
I
don't
think
know.
we are too. We're very, yeah.
Elitist. No, I'm just kidding.
We need to hang out more then. Yeah, yeah. No, it's
I just actually ran into Jeremy down in Oklahoma. Him and I were both guest teachers for the boot camp this year for RLI's ALC.
I was just going to say it was the ALC program.
Yeah, and so he is always such a great guy to bump into in the world from Arkansas, Jeremy Stevens. And so it was fun to see him. He did set me up to fail though, because he has a 2-day class, right, of transitional land. I had a 1-day class that is normally 2 days, so I had to cram 2 days of class into 1 day, and he had let them out fairly early the day before my class. So when I came in there and made him stay all day, I wasn't very popular.
See, Jeremy plays dirty.
Yeah, he was pretty mean. And I did have a good time though. That was a great group, and I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to those guys that were in that class getting their ALC. I think that man, they're just every time I meet with these guys that are coming up in the industry, there's just more and more incredible people in the farm and ranch and land world. So
There is, and everybody that goes and gets their ALC, there's like that's the one similar. Like there's a commonality with that. Like they've got that hustle, they've got that, there's that extra little kick that they're going to go chase that down because it's a good chunk of work.
yeah. Well, I don't know if you get to hang out with the RLI people very often, and if you
I don't
don't,
see they haven't let me in there.
I highly recommend, man, go to a national land conference
I
sometime.
need to go check that out.
Just go hang out with them people, because it will give you it just gives you such a breath of fresh air of what the industry really is all about. Because it's just so incredible how many people are there to lift each other up. I mean, it's just true. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're like in living room, yeah, we're up against each other, but other than that, it's how can I help? How can I help? You be better. How can I help the industry improve? And so
Well, and our industry is a little weird like that, right? Because even the residential industry, like you can throw your competitors on the bus under the bus a little easier in the residential industry, but it's like if you're in a rural community, like this person's probably your neighbor that's your competitor. Like, and everybody knows them too. And everybody knows where they were last Wednesday. And if you aren't willing to work with that person, it's not going to be very fun. Like there's so much collaboration that happens in our industry that it's like you have to do that. You have to build each other up.
yeah. Well, and I always laugh because I'm a late bloomer to the industry. I had a couple other careers before I got here. And so my thing is like I made no bones about it. Like we got in the industry to make it better.
Yep.
Our area, it was kind of, in my opinion, it was, like I don't know. They think that they're good people. All of them are really good people. They've just kind of gotten in that rut of phoning it in, and didn't have to work too hard. And so we
Yeah.
thought there's better ways to do it, and so that's why we started. And I've always used social media as a way, like, you don't know who necessarily is looking at your social media, but 100% of your competition is. And so I've always used that knowledge to talk to them.
Yeah.
So when you're out there, you have a message, you can subtly tell your competition exactly what you want them to know. So we've always used that to maybe change their minds on some stuff. But let's talk about having like a really awesome podcast, because you really do, man. I honestly am a huge fan. I listen to the National Land Realty podcast driving around. I mean, what's really fascinating is how many cool agents you guys truly have. Like, just the list keeps going on of like what you can pull out of your closet over there and just call a national land agent. I'd like, do they actually list and sell property, or are you just making them get licenses so you can say, hey, we've got like this NASCAR driver that sells land?
I think we have.
I'm pretty sure you do. I was just
Catfish
making
Parker.
a joke, but I have no doubt you probably do have a NASCAR
Catfish
driver.
Parker. I think his family is like NASCAR. I think it's bass fishing or NASCAR. Crap,
Oh, jeez.
I can't remember. But no, that's super cool. We didn't set out with the goal of like having a cool podcast. Like I talk about it on the podcast a lot. Is I saw it as a good way to generate content that it would give my copywriter a faster time to create content by running interviews. Because anybody in marketing, if you ever listen to Gary Vaynerchuk, is a real popular guy. He always talks about hub and spoke models for marketing. And so we wanted to set that up. And we used the podcast as a content driver. And so when I wanted to set up, it's like, we got to do a podcast. It's a quick way to get content. It's valuable content. We can share that content, and that's great. And then it was like, okay, who's going to do it? And so I went around to like, CEO should do it. And the CEO was like, nah, never. Okay, well, president, you should do it. Nope. And I went to brokers, and at the end of the day, it was one of those, like, if it needs to get done, I'm just going to do it. And so I ended up being I think half the agents at National Land think that I just do the podcast and that's all I do, and I phone it in as soon as I do the episodes. But yeah, so it's a really fun, and right now the way we manage is my content guy he'll run keyword research and find out what new topics are out there, and he will chase somebody down, and he just throws them in my schedule, and I have all these reviews, and half the time I forget who they are in the first place, and I don't know what company they are, and I got to refresh we're moving at a really fast pace now. But then it's also like agents, there was an agent just the other day that I found out they had some, I can't remember what the background is at this point, but they had some kind of unique background. And I think it was with timber stands or something like that, or timber analysis. And I was like, hey, get this guy. I like trees. And, because for me, I'm pretty curious, and so if I find some weird fact about what they're doing, it's like, I want to learn about that, so let's get him on. I thank you. That's really cool, and likewise, your podcast is phenomenal too. So we got some mutual love, man.
Yeah. No, and I think like it seems like, and like doing this podcast, I have to, like, some of the stuff though that you go through, you are so raw with what you do, and it's like I can kind of chuckle and appreciate like when you were transitioning into the way you do your intros and stuff like that, and like just kind of the like bear with me stuff and just like you just take everybody with you through it, and it's
Yeah.
just like so fun, like and and again like that. I mean, I think that's what makes it just it just makes it real to everybody is just the fact that you're not trying to, like National Land is a big deal in our industry, right? They are a juggernaut, and there's nothing, say whatever you want to. It's the truth. They've
Yeah.
worked
Yeah.
hard. They've got great agents. They've done all the things, and you could go a different way with that podcast. You really could. You could have a huge production. You could hire probably some personality to come in and do it, and you could, but I just love the fact that I think it's probably more effective. The way that you do it is just have your guys come on, talk about real things that are going on in your company, and and that's I think why I enjoy it. I think if you were to do it the other way, I probably would not listen to it, honestly. Just
Yeah. Well, and it's to get other because nobody wants to listen to me for now. If I can get somebody else to like be the highlight, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. Like originally, it was to highlight. The original intent was to highlight our agents, and then we realized we could get access through our audience to get in touch with people that maybe our agents want to hear from, and that's where we've got these guests from like Bow Hunter magazine, or we talked to Farmer Mac with Jackson. And let me tell you, going from talking timber stands to a world famous economist, and I've got to do the mental gymnastics of like, how do I not sound like a fool in the next 10 minutes? That part's real fun.
Yeah, I love those episodes when you do that because that guy is extremely,
He's so
extremely awesome.
smart. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
but you like tee that up pretty good because you make it known that you're like this guy's way smarter than I am.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna try to pretend to be something I'm not because it's like, okay, here's the deal. I'm gonna sit in the back seat, and this person is really smart.
But you figured out how to get him on. Like, what do you have him on quarterly or
Quarterly,
something?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's good. Like again, that's a good report. I think I actually share those out like through my podcast page or something, just because like that's just cool information to have.
It is. It's so, and like that's where it's like, do we think it's valuable? Like, okay, cool. Let's get that in front of people that might think that's interesting. And I'm so grateful that we got guests like that. Those are really cool moments to be able to do stuff like that. I feel really privileged.
Yeah, that is one of them that's pretty neat. What was one that really surprised you? Like what was an episode that you did that was just like you kind of thought, this is probably maybe just going to be an average one, and then it was like, wow, that was pretty cool.
One that's really fun is actually one of our agents. It was like the second or third podcast I ever did. So I've gone back and listened to it, and I'm terrible. But like I listen to myself, it's like, that's cool, Mac. How many times can you say in one sentence? That was great. So, and it's I can't stand hearing my voice anyways. Like it makes me crazy.
With
I like every time I hear it, it's like, oh my, they should remove me. So we had Keith Morris is a guy that we have, and his background was he worked with Chevron and Texaco and all these big oil companies, and we brought him on to talk about mineral rights. And I'm sitting there in the back of my head thinking like, no, how interesting is this topic? And to this date, it is the heaviest downloaded episode we've ever done, and it's not even close with anything else. There's I think over 1,000 downloads now or something like that on this one episode, and it's just him talking about the rights that you have in your property and the rights that you might not have. That one did surprise me because it was like it totally blew up. It was very very cool to do that. There's we get some weird ones on there once in a while, and I'm saying weird because it's not really what you would think of. Like we just did one with 830 SA 831 admin or something like that. If you go back, I don't know off the top of my head what exactly the name of the company was, but it's the name of the tax code that they actually work with. It's where you can set up your own insurance program, And it's like, well, what's that do with, well, every single agent in National Land is a business. Like every real estate agent in the world is a 1099 worker, right? Well, okay, there are some companies that do salary and you're not 1099, but for the most part, everybody is, and you have your own business. And half of the agents that we have run their own farms and have their own operations and other side businesses, right? So we got this company on that talked about how to use the tax code to create your own insurance program to cover the things that your insurance doesn't cover. Those kind of ones, like I go in like, oh no, I don't know how this is going to fit, and we'll just do it anyways. And you get done and you're like, okay, that was actually a tremendous amount of value. That was very cool. So there's stuff like that. Even your tax code 180 stuff, I didn't understand it at first, and they had Alec Bean on there for just a little bit, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude just blew my mind. There's those ones are fun too.
Well, and actually, like that 180 stuff, I think you guys had, was it Alec or somebody else was on like a
Yeah.
year or so ago?
Yeah, it was Alec. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had Alec on, and that's the first time I heard about it.
Yes.
I actually heard about that, researched it, and then started using that in my business from your podcast, right? Before
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I guess that's, like, and I'm not National Land, right? So
I had never heard. I didn't even know it was a thing. When he came on, I thought it was a borderline scam. Like, right? So like he came on talking about tax code 180, and I'm sitting there like, okay, how fast is somebody going to get audited when they do this, man? Because this sounds like how fast is this going to be an IRS thing? And then you learn about it, and it's not. And it's this really cool. Like now, it's like, how could you do an ag piece without that? That's.
Well, yeah, it's just like, well, and then again, it's just like goes back to how all these people creating this value that we can bring to our clients and say, like, like, how can you say like a pasture is only worth $800 an acre when you can add $300, $400, $500 of value with just
huge.
that?
In some cases, in some cases, thousands per acre. That's.
Oh yeah. No, that's pretty insane. No, I will say, I will tell everybody that listens to this one, if you have not heard your podcast, there are some really, really cool stories that your agents and that you have had on there. That I think you had a guy that from, I think it was Tennessee or something, that was, I think he was something to do with a big bakery or something, that one of your agents, like, wasn't it, or no, it was the restaurant chain. Am I wrong there?
I'm trying to think. There was a gentleman that did restaurants.
But he was a newer agent. They took all the restaurants and put them all in the same spot, right? For the like Uber restaurants or whatever. It was something.
It was. I can't remember his name now. But he had just started. He was a brand new agent, and he came on and talked about restaurants. I'm like, is this going to be? Actually, you queued one up for me too. Is we had an agent. He'll probably throw something at me because I'm gonna say that I was scared he was going to be really boring at first. It was like Drew Allen, I think. He was a quail scientist, and I'm like, so we start getting into like the GI tracts of quail and stuff, and like I'm recording it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this going to be? Because I didn't know at first. I'm fascinated by this stuff, but that doesn't mean everybody else is going to be. So I'm kind of diving in. I think it's cool, but in the back of my head, I'm like, is this going to? How's this? And we got done, and it was like this really cool episode. But going in, it was like, how else is this gonna go? But we've just learned to dive in, and I have yet to do one where I'm like, that was terrible. Now, if it's terrible, it's usually on my side of things. People that I'm talking to are usually pretty good. Yeah, no, there's that is the actual truth. The first couple of them, like, the production value was pretty rough. It was a definite learning curve in mine, like as I'm trying to get figured out how to do it. But then you're faster than me, because there's like 10 that I'll never listen to again. Well, the first one we ever did was like one of my best friends, my wife and I, like did it, and it's still like one of the favorites out there, just because it's just goofy and yeah. And nobody, like, I've threatened to take it down before, and like people are like, "Don't you dare! That's history right there. You got to leave. Number one's got to stay out there." So. Oh yeah, definitely.
So I do want to mention though, Mac, that you got your real estate license,
Did,
what's
yes.
that, like a year or two ago, right?
It's like a year and a half,
Yeah.
2, yeah, somewhere in there.
Because I remember like listening to you, and you were like, I think at one point you thought this was going to be a pretty easy process. You thought we were a little simpler folk than we really are, I think, at one point. So, uh,
I got to put my foot in my mouth, and because I went, for historically I've tested very well, I study pretty well. Like I passed the Series 7, which is like the advanced, investment license. I've done the Series 66, and one time was licensed for insurance. I'd done my MBA program, right? And hammered that out. I'd pulled a 4 point in my MBA program. Now, granted, I didn't have a life and I didn't sleep and I didn't see my kids and my wife for like 2 years, but I got a 4 point and like, I did those things. So I'm going into real estate like, oh,
yeah.
I might go to the classes. I'm going to take the test and be fine. And I started getting smoked. It started working me over. It was not the easiest thing that I've done. So that was I did that originally because I wanted to. I didn't. I should have. If Susan, if you're listening to this, I should have got this onto my compensation package, right? But no, I did it in my spare time. Uh, I wanted to go through what our agents go through and what everybody in the field has to go through, and go through the licensing and have to keep up licensing and stuff. Originally, I was thinking I was going to run a side hustle and sell some land because it's like, I do the thing and I work for the company. I should do the business, and I don't have time. I work 8 to 5 every day. Half the time it's 8 to 7 anyways. When I clock out, it is like I'm off into the wilderness with my family and I'm shooting bows and catching fish and hunting and hiking and stuff. So I don't want to impose on that, so I don't do it. Marketing is good enough, but yeah, the real estate exam and passing all that, I'll still throw some referrals. I'll do some business if it falls in my lap, but it hasn't yet.
Yeah. No, I am proud of you. I remember you going through that process, listening to your podcast, and you were talking about it, and so I have got my license in 10 states now. So it,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so I'm not real bright because I'm just a glutton for punishment. But well,
But you got that hustle, obviously. Oh my gosh.
after you get one, it's not as hard as you think. It's not the
I don't
rules.
know. I don't know if I agree with that. That test sucks.
You just have to do the state one for each of the tests.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the national one over and over again. Thank goodness. But
Yeah, I actually 2 houses down from me is a whitetail agent that runs my territory, and you just happen to move next to me in Boise. And I kept on seeing his truck go by, and I went to hassle him, and he ended up being somebody. He also listened to the pod, like, you're Mac. and, we chit chat here and there now, but like he's super awesome guy. But I was talking to him through the test, and he's like, "What? You mean to tell me you can't pass that test?" I'm like, "No, it's beating me up right now." It was like a nonstop. He'd drive by making fun of me.
yeah, that was the only one that I struggled with was Kansas, and my joke to the Kansas people was like I had to finally dumb myself down to go take the test because I was coming at it too smart. But
I like that approach. I like that approach.
they thought I was just I thought I think what it was I just assumed I knew enough when I went and took it, and I finally had to actually go study and take it. But for the first couple of times I went to take it, I thought, man, just how hard can it be? And it was fairly difficult. So
Oh, it's not hard, huh?
it was a little harder than it should have been, I think. But no, it was. But no, yeah, it's a fun gig though. But yeah,
I think you might have the most licenses of anybody I've talked to.
there's a few people out there. I think Jeff Post from People's Company has 20 some. I think he's their yeah he's their I think that's his job though. He's like their compliance broker. So like that's
Okay.
what he does for a living is he makes sure that the rules are followed for them. But
I'm trying to think of there's a couple of hours that are like 5 or 6 states. I don't know of anybody rocking 10.
well, yeah. You guys just got Joel King too, didn't you?
Yes, so he just went through boot camp. I actually don't know how many he's licensed in. I talked to him as he would. I do the marketing onboard and then our CRM system onboarding, and like I feel so bad because everybody gets fed with a fire hose, and I know that there's so because half of what I'm talking about is software, and it's like I just watched three eyes roll into the back of somebody's head. Like there's everybody's falling asleep during my stuff, um, because nobody wants to listen to software. So he just went through that. Yeah, it seems like a super cool guy.
Yeah, he was my first class in RLI. He taught recreational properties.
Yeah, he's kind of a monster in the industry, so it's like
He
it's
is
super cool to have him
awesome.
on board.
He is awesome. I really dig that guy. He is
Which is a
awesome.
reminder, I need to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, there you go. You better get him on there. He's
Yes.
very smart. So, well, brother, I think I've taken way more of your time than you've been very generous today with me. I have appreciated it and had a great time. And um, so I'll probably just put your company's website
Yes.
and just the main phone number for anybody who wants to get in touch with you guys. We did do,
I don't want to have you promote us too much.
no, I don't have any problem with that.
No,
We just did actually. Our two companies did this massive auction project together in Texas. It was really a fun project where we had a huge tract of land that
was that with Weems?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah.
The Delta auction that I think we're still working on together. So it was a lot of fun, and so I think that's the way success looks like in the future of our business is taking all the horsepower we can and putting it together and seeing what we can do for our clients. And I know that client was in a difficult situation, and I think they're happy with everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, I cannot thank you enough for throwing it's because I feel like everybody in our industry kind of like we all know each other, everybody collaborates together, but there's also this kind of like everyone kind of sits back on the other opposite corner of the room and kind of glares at each other. Like it just depends because everyone's real competitive, and so I'm really happy you reached out. This is very very cool. I I didn't. You never know if anybody's actually listening, right? So I was like, okay, that's really you know who we are. All right, neat.
Mhm.
Because I have bounced around and listened to yours as well and run through that. And so it's like kind of a mutual admiration thing. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah, I'd love to be on that. So
We like I said, I've actually like I can't tell you how many times I've shared your stuff out. I know several agents from National Land. When I actually looked really really hard at your company when I was getting ready to switch. At the time, it just wasn't a great fit for me. So,
yeah, yeah.
but had a different idea of what I was wanting to do at the time. So, but yeah, no, nothing against them. I loved Logan
No,
and Lauren
and
and those
that's
guys. They were and Ronnie. I have nothing but great things to say about them. And
if you
so
got through Ronnie and he didn't sell you on the company, man, you definitely had you knew what you were looking for because that guy.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I yeah, and then of course Aaron Graham's kind of a big deal in Nebraska too. So
Yes, yes,
yep, talked to him and everybody, and it was just it was I the first time I talked to him, I had an opportunity to help start a company that I just didn't fit real good with, and then the second time around it was just not a good fit again. So
yeah. Well, and
it
that's
happens.
that's the unique part about our industry is every person's an individual and they have to be very selective when they go to a company because you're jumping into a culture and you're jumping into a dynamic and it's got to be the fit for you. Just because it's really big doesn't mean it's for you, and just because it's really small doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So it's like everyone's got to take their fit. Of course, all of us want to say that our company is the best, but I mean the truth of it is you have to be really selective and do that. So um
Well,
yeah,
and I think that the thing I will say is what you can say about character is it's not necessarily always when you win. It's you learn more about character when you lose. And I can say that Lauren and Logan were awesome, and
yep.
still to this day are awesome to me. So every time I see him and talk to him, so I I think you guys are great. So,
Yep, and there was infinite knowledge in that statement you just made. That's yes.
all right, brother. Well, thanks again for your time, and we will see you all down the road.
As we wrap up another episode of the American Land Seller Podcast, thank you for joining us. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms. If you would be so kind and you enjoyed today's insights, please like, subscribe, rate, follow, and review us on whatever app you are listening or watching on. Connect with us on social media for updates. Until next week, Kobe wishes you success in your land endeavors. God bless you and have a great week.
The American Land Seller is brought to you in part by LandHub.com. Are you in the market for the perfect piece of land? Look no further than LandHub.com, your solution to the biggest challenges facing land buyers and sellers today. At LandHub, we're revolutionizing land transactions by effectively connecting buyers and sellers. Say goodbye to the struggle of finding or marketing land for sale. We understand the power of new media marketing, leveraging social media and targeted ads to bring together the ideal audience for all property types. Join us today and experience the expertise of LandHub's land marketing professionals. Whether you're buying or selling, let us show you the way in the ever-evolving world of land transactions. Visit landhub.com and discover what the future of land marketing looks like. Landhub.com, where your land journey begins. And High Point Land Company. When it comes to buying and selling land, High Point Land Company sets the standard for excellence across the Midwest and beyond. Our expert land specialists bring unmatched market knowledge and a personal touch to every single transaction. Whether it's a farm, ranch, recreational, or even investment property, we provide the expertise and integrity you can trust. Looking to buy or sell? We offer a premier selection of properties and a marketing strategy designed to get you results. From productive farmland to recreational retreats, we help you maximize your investment. Visit www.highpointlandcompany.com today and experience the difference. High Point Land Company, a true leader in land sales.